The moment Jacy Sheldon jabbed her finger into Caitlin Clark's eye, the WNBA officially entered its villain era. This wasn't just a foul. It was a declaration of war. A signal that the league's rising star wasn't just playing basketball. She was surviving it. The aftermath? Chaos. And the lines? Drawn. Welcome to the messiest rivalry in women's basketball, a full-blown culture clash, wrapped in headlocks, hashtags, and sideline shade. Because if you thought this was just another game, you haven't been paying attention. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Caitlin Clark versus the league, the Firestarter. Let's set the stage. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the WNBA, she exploded into it. A walking highlight reel, a brand unto herself, and the undisputed reason ratings and merch sales shot through the roof. But while fans were buying her jersey and packing out arenas, not everyone in the league was clapping. Some were side-eyeing, some were rolling their eyes, and some, like Jacy Sheldon, decided to take it to the court, literally. During a routine possession, Sheldon lunged, a high arm swing, an eye poke, and not a shred of remorse. Just a cold stare, as if to say, "Welcome to the league, princess." And that's when everything changed. The villain arc of Jacy Sheldon. Now, Jacy Sheldon was exactly a household name before this. A tough defender, sure. Gritty? Absolutely. But after that foul, she instantly became the face of every anti-Clark sentiment brewing under the surface. It wasn't just a physical play. It was the energy afterward. No apology, no acknowledgement, just a post-game shrug and the kind of snark that lights up comment sections. She's not soft, right? Sheldon said. She can handle it. Translation? If she wants to be the face of the league, she better act like it. And just like that, Sheldon went from grinder to gladiator. Her social media blew up, not with praise, but with war cries. Some fans praised her toughness. Others called for fines. But one thing was clear. She had made her mark. Enter Cheryl Reeve, defender of the old guard. And as if things couldn't get more dramatic, here comes Cheryl Reeve, veteran coach, Team USA royalty, and proud gatekeeper of the WNBA's old-school ways. Her role in the saga? Pouring gasoline on the fire. Reeve had already made headlines by snubbing Caitlin Clark from the Olympic roster, a move that fans are still dissecting frame by frame. But now, with Sheldon's foul going viral, Reeve jumped in again, defending the league's physicality and subtly downplaying Clark's treatment. It's a competitive league, Reeve said. She'll adjust. Adjust? To eye pokes? To uncalled hits? That one quote alone lit the fuse under Fever fans, who were already furious that Clark seemed to get roughed up every other night with zero whistle to show for it. The coach trade heard round the world. So how did Clark respond? With arguably the pettiest, savviest, most iconic move in all-star history. She traded her coach on live television. Clark had been named all-star captain, and Reeve had been assigned as her coach. But within minutes of draft going live, Clark pulled the ultimate power play and swapped Cheryl Reeve for Sandy Brondello. No explanations. No subtlety. Just vibes. The message? Crystal clear. I don't want you on my sideline. Team Clark versus Team Chaos. And from there, the league split in two. On one side, Team Clark, the fans, the rookies, the modernists who see her as the WNBA's future. On the other, Team Chaos, a mix of veterans, coaches, and hard-nosed offenders who view her fame as unearned and her influence as disruptive. And in the middle of it all, Jacy Sheldon, the self-declared enforcer, thriving in the villain role. She doubled down in interviews, posted cryptic tweets, smirked through pre-game introductions, and when asked whether she'd tone it down, she simply replied, "No one else is." A lead torn in two. Here's the bigger issue. This isn't just about Clark, or Sheldon, or Reeve. This is about the identity crisis brewing inside the WNBA. For years, the league has struggled with visibility. Suddenly, Caitlin Clark arrives and shifts the entire media narrative overnight. She's white. She's charismatic. She pulls numbers. She gets attention. And for some in the league, That change feels uncomfortable. Some players have voiced it. Others show it with their defense. And in the absence of consistent officiating, the court becomes a battlefield. This isn't just basketball. It's politics, culture, and power played at full speed, when rivalry becomes business. Ironically, this feud is great for business. The WNBA is trending. Games are selling out. Highlights are everywhere. And for the first time in years, people are talking about matchups, drama, and beef. Jacy Sheldon's foul may have been dangerous, but it gave the league a storyline, something fans can debate and dissect and rally around. And Caitlin Clark? She's rising higher through the chaos. Every hard foul, every quote, every stare down only fuels the myth. But here's the question. How much is too much? The danger of letting it spiral. There's a line between rivalry and recklessness, and the WNBA is dancing on it. When a player like Caitlin Clark gets targeted every game, it stops being physical basketball and starts being negligence. Refs miss calls. Players escalate. And suddenly, the most valuable asset in the league is at risk. What happens if she gets seriously injured? What happens when the drama turns into damage? The league needs to ask itself, is the attention worth the fallout? The Clark response, poised but sharp. To her credit, Clark has handled the chaos with a level of grace most athletes twice her age could manage. She hasn't lashed out. She hasn't thrown tantrums. But she has clapped back. When asked about Reeve, silence. When Sheldon doubled down, a smirk and a record-breaking stat line. When given the mic at All-Star Weekend, a subtle but unmistakable message. I'll always choose teammates who show up for each other. No need to name names. Everyone knew. A league at the edge of reinvention. This rivalry, as messy and controversial as it is, has cracked open something in the WNBA. It's no longer just about the game. It's about who runs the game. Is it the coaches who built the league? Is it the players who've waited for a spotlight? Or is it the new face who's shifting the sport in real time? Jacy Sheldon may have declared war, but what she really did was force the league to pick a side. Old school toughness? Or a new era of transparency, talent, and attention? One thing's for sure, this isn't the end. Clark versus Sheldon is just heating up. Reeves' grip on influence is slipping. And the fans? They're watching every foul, every tweet, and every sideline interaction with bated breath. It started with one eye poke. One moment. One foul that should have faded after a quick whistle and a trip to the line. But instead, it detonated like a cultural landmine across the WNBA. Suddenly, every game Caitlin Clark played was loaded with subtext. Every defender who checked in was scrutinized. Every foul was slow-mo analyzed across sports TikTok, ESPN segments, and Reddit forums. And at the center, Jacy Sheldon, no longer just a player, now a symbol. Whether she meant to or not, she lit the match. Because what we're watching isn't just a rivalry. It's a full-blown identity crisis for the league. Almost overnight, players across the league began planting flags. Publicly or subtly, some line up behind Clark, praising her poise, her growth, her ability to carry the weight of an entire league without flinching. Players like Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, her fever teammates, went full loyalty mode, defending her in interviews and post-game pressers. Others? They leaned Sheldon's way, celebrating physical play, dismissing the outrage, and doubling down on the she's got to toughen up narrative. These weren't just petty jabs, they were statements. This wasn't a debate about basketball anymore. It was about what kind of basketball the WNBA wants to be. Then came the coaches, and if you thought Cheryl Reeves' criticism was spicy, she was just the appetizer. A few more veteran coaches started chiming in with thinly veiled commentary. She's a great shooter, one coach said after facing Clark, but this is a grown woman's league. She'll learn. Another said, we don't protect anyone in this league. You want special treatment? Go to Hollywood. The message was clear. Clark's rise isn't being celebrated by everyone inside the league's walls. There's pushback, resistance, maybe even jealousy. And here's the kicker. It's no longer behind the scenes. While the drama raged on, the numbers told another story, one no coach or player could deny. Every Clark game, sold out. Every time Sheldon and Clark shared the floor, social media exploded. Clark's jersey, still leading league sales. And when the All-Star game finally aired with Clark and Brondello versus Reeves squad, it was the highest-rated WNBA All-Star game in history. Here's the irony. The same rivalry that has players and coaches throwing side-eyes has fans turning toward the league in record numbers. It's a soap opera that happens to be built on elite basketball. And whether you love or hate Clark, or Sheldon, you're watching. Through it all, Caitlin Clark hasn't flinched. No public complaints. No dramatic interviews. No crying to refs. Instead, she's letting her play do the talking, dropping dimes, hitting logo threes, and more recently, throwing no-look passes like she's bored doing it the regular way. Every time a defender tries to rough her up, she bounces back with a statement performance. Every time someone says she doesn't belong, she drops 25 and makes them look silly. And maybe that's why the rivalry keeps getting hotter. Because no matter how much they throw at her, she keeps rising. Now, let's talk about Jacy Sheldon, because whether fans are booing or cheering, they're reacting. She's become the league's ultimate anti-hero. She doesn't ask for forgiveness. She doesn't care about popularity contests. And she certainly doesn't care if you think she's playing too rough. Her next few games? Straight up pitbull mode. She's been guarding full court, chirping at refs, and locking like every game is Game 7. And to be fair, she's balling. This isn't just a villain arc for headlines. Sheldon is backing it up. She's embraced the role, and it's given her game a new edge. We've seen this before in sports. The bad guy becomes just as important to the story as the golden child. You need both sides of the rivalry to work. Eventually, the WNBA had to address it. After multiple viral fouls, the eye poke, and a barrage of think pieces, the league quietly updated its officiating priorities, especially regarding player safety. Without naming names, the league made it clear. Intentional contact to the head, especially to the face or eyes, would now trigger automatic reviews. Referees were warned to be more vigilant. Some players rolled their eyes. Fans debated whether it was a Clark rule. But the writing was on the wall. The league sees her as a long-term investment, and they're not going to let this drama turn into disaster. Remember the coach trade? That was just the beginning. Caitlin Clark's actual all-star team picks told a story, and not a subtle one. She skipped over multiple veteran players with well-known grudges, and instead built her squad like a social experiment in loyalty and chemistry. The media dubbed it Team Vibes. And it worked. They won. Cheryl Reeve left fuming. Sheldon, not invited. And the fallout? Immediate. Anonymous sources told reporters that several veterans were offended by Clark's draft choices. One even said, "She'll learn. This league has a long memory." The pettiness was real. And fans? Ate it up. So, where do we go from here? Clark versus Sheldon isn't going away. If anything, the next time they match up, it might be one of the most watched games of the year. Not because of playoff stakes, but because of narrative stakes. Will Sheldon double down? Will Clark clap back on court? And more importantly, will the WNBA lean into this rivalry or try to neutralize it? Because here's the truth. Every league that's ever grown big had rivalries that meant something. Magic versus Bird. Serena versus Sharapova. Brady versus Manning. These weren't just about stats. They were about identity. And Clark versus Sheldon? That's what it's becoming. Zooming out, this isn't just about two players. This is a pivotal moment in how we talk about, watch, and value women's sports. The idea that there's only room for one star? Outdated. The fear that women's basketball can't handle drama or rivalries? Proven false. The WNBA, whether they like it or not, is now a league with heat, tension, plot lines, and that's exactly what fans want. People don't just follow games. They follow characters. And right now, Sheldon and Clark are the two biggest characters in the league, whether by design or by destiny. Here's the truth. This rivalry didn't start with hate. It started with intensity, with ambition, with two players who both want to be the best and aren't afraid of what comes with it. Jacy Sheldon didn't poke Caitlin Clark out of nowhere. It happened because the game was heated and tensions were high. That's what sports should feel like. And Clark? She's not asking for protection. She's demanding respect and earning it one battle at a time. The league is changing, whether the old guard likes it or not. So whether you're riding for Sheldon or riding for Clark, one thing is certain. The WNBA just got way more real, and we'll be watching every second of it. If you thought the beef between Caitlin Clark and Jacy Sheldon was just about one bad foul, you're in for a wake-up call. What started with an eye poke has evolved into a full-blown identity crisis for the WNBA. It's not just Sheldon versus Clark. It's not just players versus coaches. This is about who controls the future of the league. And make no mistake, it's getting messier by the day. Let's get into it. Jacy Sheldon didn't just foul Caitlin Clark, she opened Pandora's box. And instead of backing off or walking it back, she doubled down. No apology, no PR-filtered tweet, just a cold post-game quote saying, "It's basketball. If she can't handle it, that's on her." And just like that, Sheldon found herself in the middle of a firestorm. But here's the twist. She liked it. You could see it in her body language the next game. She was energized. She was feeding off the booze, embracing the chaos. And suddenly, Jacy Sheldon wasn't just a player. She was a perfect antagonist in a league that desperately needed one. Every great story needs contrast. Clark's clean-cut, laser-focused playmaker persona was screaming for a rival. And Sheldon, with her grit, edge, and no-nonsense game, walked in like a scripted foil. But this isn't scripted. It's real. While Sheldon thrived in the villain role, Clark became the center of a very different storm. Expectation. The face of the league? Check. Every game sold out? Check. The pressure to not just win, but to represent the future of women's sports? Double check. And all the while, she's supposed to ignore the noise. Ignore the extra elbows, the uncalled hacks, the sarcastic tweets from veterans and coaches alike. It's not just about hoops anymore. It's about optics, endorsements, league growth, media access, and above all, how much she can take. Clark hasn't complained, but you can feel the weight. Every time she checks into a game, every time she lines up for a free throw, she's not just playing a defender, she's playing the moment. And when you're the main character, every second is a highlight or a headline. Sources, and let's be honest, we all have eyes on social media, say that not everyone in the WNBA locker rooms is thrilled with the Clark effect. Some see her as a media darling who's getting too much, too fast. Some think she hasn't earned her stripes. And others, they're quietly jealous that despite putting in years of work, this rookie is the one with a signature shoe and national attention. One player reportedly said, "If the league wants her to be the hero, fine, but don't expect the rest of us to play along." That's the tension brewing beneath the surface. Not because Clark isn't great, she is, but because her rise is being seen as representing something else. A shift, a threat, a spotlight that, in a league hungry for attention, feels like it's shining on just one name. It's not just players Clark's age who are reacting. Several WNBA veterans have entered the chat, and they're not holding back. One former All-Star posted cryptically, "Funny how one player's getting all the calls, while the rest of us had to fight for years." Another reposted a Clark highlight with a not-so-subtle caption. "This is All-Star now." They're not tagging anyone, but they don't need to. These messages hit hard because they're laced with truth that's hard to deny. The WNBA is undergoing a rebrand in real time. And that means some legends are suddenly finding themselves in the background of a story they helped build. That bitterness? It's not personal. It's positional. It's about relevance. And it's about the fear that in this new era, legacy isn't enough. If you want to see the real war zone, don't look at the court. Look at your phone. Every foul, every dunk, every post-game quote is dissected on TikTok, debated on Reddit, and memed on Twitter. Clark fans have become a force. They ride hard. They defend her like it's personal. And they've turned every game she plays into a trending moment. But that fandom has drawn its own backlash. Accusations of bandwagoning, disrespect, and even racial undertones about how different players are treated based on who they are and what they represent. This isn't just sports beef anymore. It's culture. It's politics. It's generational. And in that swirl of noise, both Clark and Sheldon are being recast daily as heroes, villains, pawns, and game changers. The WNBA did not expect this kind of firestorm. Yes, they wanted Clark to bring eyeballs. Yes, they welcomed the boost in ticket sales and national media coverage. But the downside? They weren't ready for the drama. Suddenly, the league is under pressure to regulate fouls more consistently, to protect players without neutering physical play, to allow personalities to shine without inviting chaos. And the coach trade? That shook everything. Now execs are asking, should players have more say in all-star coaching? What does leadership look like in this new era? And most importantly, how much control are they willing to give up to keep this momentum alive? The WNBA is learning, fast, that evolution comes with friction. This isn't just about a rivalry anymore. It's about visibility, identity, and change. Clark versus Sheldon is pulling in casual fans, pushing conversations about fairness, and exposing the growing pains of the league stepping into the spotlight. The question now is simple. Will the WNBA lean into the drama, the narrative, the emotion, or will it try to sanitize the product? Keep things safe, quiet, and polite? Because if we've learned anything from the NBA, the NFL, and even women's tennis, conflict sells, rivalry matters. And this one, it's prime time. Whether you love her or loathe her, Caitlin Clark is the moment. Whether you cheer for her or root against her, Jacy Sheldon is a catalyst. And whether the league likes it or not, this story has outgrown the box score. The WNBA's future isn't just about who wins a championship. It's about who defines the league's voice, vibe, and values. And as long as these two share a court, we're watching every second of it. So grab your popcorn, pick your side, and remember, rivalries build legends. And this one might just change everything.